Hello Year 3, we're looking at the next steps for our Blue Morpho Butterfly Rainforest composition. So, just going to recap some of the last steps. So, if you're in school, you were going to get a book page from the Jungle Book. If you're at home, you can just use plain paper. It doesn't have to be a book page. And then on that piece of paper, whether it's a book page or not, your job was to paint some watercolour leaves. I did say you can do tropical flowers as well. That's absolutely fine. So it's kind of nature painting. So leaves, flowers. When it's dry, so it's, the paper's dry, you're going to take a green pencil or whichever pencil matches your tropical flower, and you're going to put in an outline. You must wait until your paper is dry before you do this step, because book pages in particular are very fragile. And if I try and outline wet work, it will likely rip the page. So this is completely dry, as you can see. So I'm going to use my green and I'm going to put in an outline. And I think what I'll do here is put in a couple of contour lines. Okay, so when you feel like you've built up your background, so don't rush this, take your time. When you feel like you've built it up, you're going to add some collage materials, okay? Now, if you're thinking, hang on a minute, what happens with my butterfly? This is the last thing we're going to add to our background. So keep this safe and keep it to one side. We're just going to focus on collage materials for now. So hopefully you may have some green paper at home, or certainly some colours that might, you can cut into flowers. I'm just using leaf shapes. So what I'm planning to do is, without going too crazy, I'm going to add a few leaves just to kind of balance out this book page. So let's just add these on. So let's get a bit of glue on there. So let's have one there. Oh, and a step I forgot to mention actually, we're going to be mounting the book page. Like I said, the book page is very flimsy and it won't hold up very well. So one of the steps that I should have mentioned is we're going to mount it onto this paper. And if you're at home, you can mount it on any kind of paper you've got, just to reinforce the book page or your plain piece of paper. So you can see this one has already been mounted. And I'm just adding my collage layers. Now, in a moment, I'm going to be showing you a butterfly cutting stamp that I have. Now, I'm going to imagine most people don't have a butterfly-shaped cutter, but you can cut out your own butterflies. And the tip for cutting out a butterfly is to fold your piece of paper in half before you begin cutting, and then just cutting it as if you were looking at a butterfly just sliced through the middle. I'll demonstrate that in a moment so you get the idea. Let me just add my last little layers of mixed media. So, okay, so there's my layers, and then I'm going to demonstrate with this paper here. I'm going to demonstrate making a butterfly. Now, I don't want big butterflies because I've already got my Blue Morpho butterfly that's going in the centre of my book page. But if I'm adding some other little butterflies, I want them kind of roughly about this size, kind of small. So a square is a good shape to start with. You're going to fold that in half. And then this is the trick. You're going to cut as if it was half a butterfly. So I'm not going to put antennae on because they're too fiddly, but I am going to cut kind of, that's where the head would be. I'm going to manipulate my paper into that shape, and then I'm going to cut a wing there, and then I'm going to cut a bottom wing there. Okay. So when I open it out, I've got a butterfly. So this is something you can do if you haven't got this special cutter that I'm going to demonstrate in a moment. So that's one idea for adding texture and mixed media to your background. Another idea is I've got a book page. It's a different shade to this one, and it's just an old book that somebody ripped up that was being used for recycling. So I'm going to use it to make some book page butterflies. Okay, so there's one there. Now, the tip when you're cutting something is rather than doing one at a time, maybe do, if I take 3 pages here, I've got 3, 1, 2, 3. I can do 3 at a time, and therefore I have more that I can share around. So let's do, it's a bit wibbly wobbly to put this in, hang on. There we go, got it in. Okay, right, I think that's enough for this example. So let's just brush that off there. So with my book page butterflies, I'm going to glue them on. Now, what I think could look quite cool is if I have them sticking off the page slightly. So I'm folding them like this, and then I'm going to add glue just to the middle part of the body, okay? So kind of just in the middle there. I'm going to bend it slightly so its wings are sticking up. And I'm going to put it... Now, it kind of looks cool when you put it on a leaf because it gives it kind of a background. Another step I think I'm going to show you now before my butterflies get glued down is I'm going to actually have a go at double mounting my background because that will look even nicer. And double mounting is something that takes a lot longer and uses more resources, but the finished effect is very nice. So let's have that double mounted there. There we go. And then I'm going to remind you of that tip I showed you before. Whenever you're gluing something down, rub it on the back and it will help it stay. Okay, so when I rubbed that made my butterfly go a bit flat. So I'm just going to, there we go, just going to like put its wings up again. Okay, and I've got a few more book page butterflies here. You don't have to use a book page. If you like the idea of having text on it, you could always use a newspaper, or I don't know, you might have some junk mail that you don't mind cutting up. Right, let's put that one on that leaf. You don't have to put your butterflies on a leaf. I just quite like it because it adds contrast. I'm leaving the middle without any butterflies because that's where my blue morpho butterfly is going to go. Because my blue morpho butterfly is going to be like the main object, the thing that I want the audience to be drawn to looking at. So let's put another butterfly there. And I think I'll do one more down here. Okay. Now, the next step, once I've done this, is to cut out my painted butterfly, the one that we made with the sgraffito. Another tip is don't have your butterflies all flying in the same direction. I think it looks nice to have some, you know, flying one way and some the other. It just looks less repetitive, less like a pattern and more like organic. Right, so we've got our background set up there. And finally, I'm going to cut out my butterfly. Please take your time with this because it'd be good if you can cut it up to the edge without leaving any wibbly wobblies behind. Okay. Now, when I get to the antennae, which I will do, just do your best here. Do your best to cut them so that they're visible and you don't accidentally chop them off. If you need to leave a bit of a bubble around them, and you'll see what I mean in a second. See, I've left a teeny bit of a border around it. If you need to do that, that's fine because we don't want to chop them off. Now, if you do accidentally chop them off, it's really not the end of the world. But if you can keep them attached, even better. Okay, now cutting skills is something that you have to work on. The only way you get better at cutting is by practicing. So if you're thinking, oh my gosh, I'm not a very good cutter, the only way to get better is to try. And one of my tips is move your paper as you cut to help you. So for example, now, rather than trying to twist my hand in that direction, I'm going to twist my paper into a more convenient position so I can follow the lines better. So it's not just about moving your wrist and your scissors, it's also about moving your paper. Now, try not to chop off any of your detail work. So try to keep this kind of black border that we made. Try to keep that attached if you can. Okay, I'm just going to get rid of that bit. And there we go, we've got our blue morpho butterfly. And I'm going to do the same thing with this that I did with my other butterflies. I'm going to just kind of fold it so we can see the butterfly there. I'm going to put glue on. I'm not going to put glue on the antennae. I'm just going to put it on the main body. And then, kind of using just my eyes and my judgment, I'm going to put this in the middle. And I'm going to press it down. Now, don't rush this step because, as I'm sure you've realised, these glue sticks aren't the greatest. And if you don't give it a little bit of time and patience, it probably will just drop off again, okay? So make sure you're pressing for about 30 seconds. And then, keeping your finger in the middle, you might want to manipulate your wings so they kind of stick up a bit more. I'm going to just get this guy sticking up a bit more. And there we go. There's your finished blue morpho butterfly rainforest background composition. All right, thank you, you three. Bye-bye.